Broadcasting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, you're listening to the Low Blow MMA Boxing Podcast.
Jorge Hernandez with the Low Blow and Southwest Fight News, here with the greatest female fighter of all time, Lucia Rijker. It's a pleasure. You're here training Diana Prazak for what is probably the biggest stage that she's been on to fight Holly Holm. What do you feel that Holly Holm brings into this big of a fight against Diana Prazak? Someone who's a couple of weight classes lower, but they're actually meeting at a, not necessarily catch weight, but Holly's coming down in weight. So how do you see this contest matching up?
Well, I don't see Holly coming down in weight. Holly was supposed to fight Miriam Lamar, which is another fighter that I represent and worked with, who got injured. And then they asked me if, since Prazak was going to fight 140 for the first time, they asked me if Diane wanted to fight Holly. I said, I'll ask her, and she said, absolutely. So I said, okay, let's work on that. What Holly brings to the fight is a lot of experience. Holly's known to be on her feet. Really highly energized woman that runs. That's she's a very intelligent fighter, and that's why she wins most of her fights. Besides, she's in altitude, and most girls come up here and burn their lungs and they run out of air. Besides that, she runs, so she makes you work. She makes you work your lungs. Holly, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world. We can only win from this one. Holly has a lot to lose. She fights a girl that comes out of a different weight class with half her experience. I said, so we only have to gain.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the training that you guys do in Los Angeles, is there any travel to Big Bear or any of the high elevation around the Southern California area with Diana?
We're here now, 2.5, 3 weeks before the fight. The thing is with most fighters that the training camp is very expensive. Renting a house and a car, and we have a sponsor now, Other Nations, that sponsors us with a car. That's like $800 for just the rental alone. The housing, being away from, from home, missing on earnings, etc. So it's quite expensive to go up camp. Most women cannot afford to go up camp. Diana is fortunate to be able to provide for herself for this training camp, and that's why we're here at least 2.5 weeks before. Ideally, 6 weeks would have been ideal, at least 5. But better 3 than nothing.
Now, when it comes to being a trainer, you're obviously one of the greatest just fighters of all time. How much joy do you take out of being a trainer, as opposed to not being in the ring and being that person?
Well, there's a tremendous joy in passing on your knowledge as much as you can. Every fighter is different. Some fighters pick it all up, some fighters pick up a little bit, but even if they pick up 5 or 10% of what I'm trying to teach them, it's still 5 or 10%. I have tremendous joy in teaching, and passing on my knowledge is how do you say, that's my mission. I think when I've had 25 plus years in the ring. I've never worked a regular job, so all my knowledge is just right here. So I need to pass that on, which I really enjoy. You run into some limitations because my fighters are not me. They have very different skills, and I have to work with what they have, which sometimes can be frustrating. They have their own way to process things. They have their own way to process the information that I give to them. However, as long as we're progressing, that's all that matters, and it's teaching me and expanding my ability as a trainer to work with other people that are different from me.
Now, for a long time, you had Freddie Roach as your trainer. How much of what Freddie used to tell you just comes out of your mouth and you're like, oh my God, Freddie used to tell me the same thing?
I had Freddie Roach for a long period of time, and Freddie taught me a lot of things, especially he was very calm in the corner with me. He pointed out the things that I did do and added what he wanted me to do. He was a man of little words, which I enjoyed. I also worked with Emmanuel Stewart and for 2 fights, but he spoke a lot about boxing and the business of boxing, so he taught me a lot about boxing outside the ring, management and all the things you need to take care of before you get in the ring. So I'm very grateful for Freddie Roach and what he has taught me, and also for Emmanuel Stewart, what he has taught me, that I'm passing on. I'm mixing the things. My first trainer, my first kickboxing trainer, who taught me a lot of foundational work and mental work and spiritual work. I'm grateful for all the trainers I had, because I pick bits and pieces from all of them, mix it and make it into my own, and that's what I'm teaching, and that is Rijker Striker's method, so to speak.
Now, when it comes to the state of women's boxing, where do you think it's at, and do you think the rise of women's MMA will help fuel or refuel the state of women's boxing?
Well, I went to the Olympics in August, and it was felt like a grandmother seeing my grandchildren perform very well. There was a 130-pound fight, the finals between Oshikawa and Taylor, which was for the main event basically, besides Claressa Shields, who was the new female Mike Tyson, phenomenal for America. 16,000 people were roaring for that main event, and that was in Europe, front page news when I came to America, and I asked people, do you know that America won gold in boxing? Nobody knew Claressa Shields. Yeah. So it needs work. Women's boxing needs work. We have great fighter, Claressa Shields. If you see her fight, most men are going to be afraid of her.
Definitely.
She is a phenomenal fighter, and we have Esparza, who's a really great featherweight fighter, wonderful to market as well, very good for the Spanish community. So there's things to work with in women's boxing. It's just a matter of putting the cards together and giving it its own identity. MMA is taking over. It's marketed very well. I think the male boxing, who do we have left really? You know, we have Marquez, Pacquiao 4. What does that mean? That means there's no one else out there that can, you know, give a good pay-per-view fight. So it's time to invest in the women and build them up. And you know, like Mr. Frescus has done a great job with Holly. However, Holly only fights here. You know, on the mountain, the girl on the mountain they call her, because she doesn't come off our mountain. So unfortunately for women's boxing, that's not so good. If Holly would come off a mountain and start touring to America, she could, you know, a very athletic woman that is a good representation for women's boxing, that has great skills, that is articulate and beautiful, that's wonderful to market. Like Ronda Rousey, she'll travel anywhere and do marketing for anything, anywhere, not just Albuquerque, and that's good for MMA. So if Holly wants to represent women's boxing, then it's good for her to bring her through America and through the world to market women's boxing. But again, you know, she's a hometown girl, so she likes it here, and I can't blame her. I love it up here. So girls are coming, and out of the Olympics, some good girls are coming. It's just a matter of promoters investing into the women.
Now, when you see these two fighters, and when I say two fighters, I'm talking about Holly Holm and Cecilia Braekhus, do you ever just get the urge to get in there and possibly fight one of them? I mean, obviously, you've retired from the sport, but do you wish that they were back in the 90s, you know, where you could have competed with them as well?
You know, I try not to live my life with could have, should haves, because everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to, and I draw a lot of wisdom from the things that have happened. I enjoy working with my fighters. I get in the ring every day with them, and yeah, I don't have the urge like, oh man, I could beat her, because then I should still be fighting. So of course I look at things in a particular way that I think, okay, you know, like when we work with Ronda Rousey and I look at her and I'm like, okay, I wonder, my mind goes. You know, you got to give your children the opportunity to have their own teenage years and to date. And if I start competing with their dates, it wouldn't be healthy. I feel I had my time in the sun, and now it's time for other women to be in the sun. And whatever I can do to contribute to that, that's why I'm here.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest female fighter of all time. Catch her December 7th at the Route 66 Casino. She'll be in Diana Prazak's corner. But best of luck, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.